Okay, tell me about November 2017 in your life.
Well, 2017 in November especially was quite interesting period for me in my life. We had elections in IWAT, the International Association of Women in Radio and TV, in Manila, in the Philippines, where I was elected the new president of IWAT. And around the same time, there was a coup taking place in my own country, Zimbabwe. And I never thought this would ever happen because we have been under a dictatorship since 1980. And we've always had this one ruler, Robert Mugabe. And then it just so happened so quickly. The military descended on the capital city in Harare, and the masses also participated in street demonstrations which were sanctioned and approved by the military, which has always propped up Mugabe. And so that was quite a situation that I never dreamed of or never thought would actually happen.
Where were you in your mind and your spirit?
In my mind and in my spirit, I was actually in Zimbabwe, even though this great thing had happened also for me personally in the Philippines, where I was elected to head this very important media organization, IOWAT. But because I'd been living, dreaming, eating, breathing Zimbabwe for the last 17 years, while working in exile and reporting on the situation in my country, I just thought, can you imagine now, of all the times that I should be reporting about my country, I was not there, and all I could do was follow the events on social media. But in my heart, obviously, yes, as a Zimbabwean and also as a journalist, my heart and mind were in Zimbabwe. And I was an emotional wreck. Even my colleagues and friends in Iowa who were around at the time and were witnessing this amazing development in my country, they were there supporting, and it was incredible. It was an incredibly emotional period, the dramatic events that took place in Zimbabwe in November.
So two things happened that changed your life. How has your life changed after this?
I couldn't wait to go to Zimbabwe. I had not stepped foot in my country since I was banned in 2001, although I'd left the country in 2000. And so I just thought, let me go. I didn't even think about, waiting to see what will happen in the next few months. So as soon as the IOWAT conference was over, I decided to go back to Zimbabwe. And it was amazing and quite shocking for me, because when I left Zimbabwe almost 2 decades ago, I left with a Zimbabwean passport and I left as a Zimbabwean. But when I was returning to Zimbabwe, I was returning as a foreigner. And for me, that was quite... It was a weird experience where I had to give the immigration officer my British passport and apply for a visa to enter my own country. And the immigration officer said, when he saw my name, said, "Welcome, Violet." But he did caution me that if I was to do any journalism work, I would be arrested. But he said I needed to get accreditation first. For me, it was okay because I decided that I wanted to go back home to see this change for myself, to see my family members who I had not seen for more than a decade, my relatives, my friends, to breathe the fresh air of Zimbabwe, to eat the food. You miss a lot of things, and especially to see my two grandmothers who are elderly, they're in their 90s, and I had not seen them in a long time. And also to really see for myself what this so-called change is about. And I'm happy also to say that when I arrived, I received a lot of support from many organizations, civil society organizations, from colleagues in the industry, family and friends, to such an extent that I've actually set up an election monitoring or an election debate series together or in partnership with one of the leading election monitoring groups in Zimbabwe called the Zimbabwe Election Support Network, where I'll be doing public discussions on the elections that are going to be taking place in Zimbabwe this year. And so far, since the beginning of the year, I've managed to do 2, and they will also aired in the state media, especially the state broadcaster, the promotional video. And for me, that was also quite interesting, because it was the state broadcaster that announced that I had been banned from returning to Zimbabwe in 2001. And yet, fast forward to today, they actually allowed an advert of the launch of this election series on primetime TV. So that was quite good. So I'm happy to be back home and and reporting from Zimbabwe.
So our new president in IWORK International is now changed from being banned to being welcomed in our own country. Is that right?
Well, so far so good. You know, we're taking each day as it comes. We'll see when I start doing the actual stories to see how far the system has really changed in the country. Time will tell.
Thank you.